right, and we're back. Chad, I must say your internet is sublime today.
Thank you, thank you. Good to hear.
Yes,
I felt so bad after that last time, but you know,
no
I didn't
worries.
have any didn't no power over that.
It happens. It happens.
Yeah.
Have you watched this TV show Chernobyl? Came out 2019.
You know what? I saw the first episode. I do want to get back to that, but I heard that's really good.
It's really good. It's not that long, and it presents you with all the impact and consequences of this disastrous accident. It was an accident, right?
Yeah.
And I think to this day, you're not allowed to go there because of the high levels of radiation. It's insane. Uh,
Yeah. Well, I think some people, I don't know that you're allowed to go there, but
mm,
there's still, I mean, I don't know what the war in Ukraine now, but a lot of people have gone there to tour it. Yeah. Yeah. They have tours there and stuff, but yeah, I don't know if it's officially allowed, but people do it all the time.
I mean, that's really dark tourism because you're killing yourself. The if the radiation's still there, like it's, I would say it's not worth it.
Yeah. I'm not going.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
yes,
There's an episode of, there's a show called The Dark Tourist. It's on, I think it's on, at least it's on Netflix in the United States. And it's a guy who goes with, he's not necessarily a dark tourist, but he goes along with a lot of these dark tourists going to a lot of these different places. But he goes to Chernobyl, which is the show, I don't think really talks a lot about dark tourism the way I do in terms of how it can be a reflective healing type of experience. It sort of sensationalizes it, but it's a decent show, if you have that in mind.
now when you get to those places, is there any type of ritual? There's anything that you tell yourself in order to start the healing process, or you just let it flow naturally?
I think the day I go to, especially, dark tourism is on a big spectrum. I mean, on one side, you have ghost tours, ghost hunts. I don't know if you've ever been to the Berlin dungeon, but there's also these dungeons around,
It's for fun though. It's
yeah, right. So those are fun, but there's also, that's considered dark tourism. It's on the mild side. There's museums like the Clink prison, over there. Over here, you can tour Alcatraz or the Eastern State. So those are, you know, on the milder side. But then, but prisons, I mean, that can be either way. But then there's also cemeteries and disaster tourism like the Chernobyl battlefields, and then really dark sites of like genocide and mass killings like the 9/11 museum and things like that. So the reflections you get definitely differ between those milder sites and the more serious sites. And and I got to get back to your question. What was your question again?
Is there any type of ritual or anything that you always say to yourself when we get to those
Yeah,
places, or you just let your
yeah,
imagination flow and the healing goes naturally? How
yeah.
how is
So
walk us through this process?
I would say on the mild sites, I really don't prepare. I just go, maybe learn, maybe look at the history a little bit, but I really don't.
Okay.
You can walk into the Berlin dungeon and not have any. You could just, it's fun, but you do learn stuff. But when you go to the more serious sites, yeah, it's almost like going to the funeral of a loved one. So that's really how I felt going to not Chernobyl, Hiroshima, uh, places of war and genocide. So when I've gone to those, I really try to take on a serious mindset before I go ahead, really reflect on what I'm about to do. And and that's really about it. So you go in with an open mind. I don't go, and there has been times where I had a credit card issue, and I chose to not go to a place that day because I was stressed out. So I think if you go into those places and you don't take it seriously, you could actually, I mean, not only is it disrespectful to their memories, but it's also, it can be harmful to you because if you go through something of such tragedy without any empathy or reverence for what happened, that's going to decrease your empathy when you're, in your own life. So if you don't have empathy for somebody suffering, you're more likely to just blow it off in your real, in your own life if you see suffering.
Yeah, yeah. I think I can talk for myself, right? When I went to the catacombs, I had no empathy
Hmm.
because I had no connection whatsoever to the story or the people there. I had no context. I think the context, having the
Hmm.
context, changed everything. I mean,
Hmm.
is you know where the first or which one, which World War started with the prince who got shot? I think it was the
As we're for Franz Ferdinand, World War I.
World War I. There you go. I was
Yeah,
watching on YouTube the exact place where he got shot. It's like it's a normal corner, like
yeah,
it's a regular street. Imagine if you're walking there and you have no idea that's where it happened. You're not gonna feel anything. You need
correct.
actually to have some done some research and know the context in order to immerse yourself in this world. So I think
Yeah.
yeah.
No, you're 100% right. So I think it is completely to do with your mindset. And
Mm,
when you're younger, going through some of these places, I think you had to have somebody kind of coaching you, because
yeah.
it's hard for a 14-year-old to just automatically get the right mindset to go through a place like that. So you probably need somebody that's kind of on you the whole time about okay, let's refocus. How do where you ask reflective questions. And that's one thing that I do too, is when I go through these places, I will ask myself sort of, gosh, what do you think you would have done in this circumstance? How would you have handled that? Um, and sort of try to place yourself in their shoes, and that makes a big difference. So a lot of it has to do with your intention. you know I would say I went to a lot of these places, at least in the beginning, the more serious places that I went to, for example, Pearl Harbor. I went there as somebody who just wanted to learn about the history, and then you get these reflections going through there. But when you go through with intention of having these reflections, you have a lot more of the reflections, and it really does. That's when it becomes very life changing.
At what point did you say no? This deserves to be a book. Like how many places you had to go in order to have this realization?
Okay, so kind of a funny story. So, so I was in Germany and Poland and